All right, welcome everyone. I'm so glad you're here. My name is Milka Milliance, and I'm the CEO of Simetras Team Experiences. And today we're going to tackle something that trips up even the most passionate, well-intentioned leaders, getting the C-suite to say yes to a team retreat. In the next 15 to 20 minutes, I'm going to walk you through a proven step-by-step framework that will help you to reframe your pitch from fun team trip to strategic business investment. Whether you're a team lead, an HR director, an entrepreneur, a student, or an operations manager, this is for you. So let's get into it. A little bit about me. I spent the last 20 years in the leadership development space, coaching executive teams, facilitating workshops, and designing team experiences. Anything from retreats, trainings to workshops. And I've had clients like Unilever, Johnson& Johnson, ServiceNow, Merck, and many, many others. What I've learned is this: the retreat itself is rarely the problem. The problem is often the pitch. Leaders who know how to connect the retreat to business outcomes get the green light. Those who don't, they get a polite maybe next year. And today I'm going to give you the tools to be in the first group to get the funding to do the work. Let's start with the hard truth. Most retreat pitches fail, and it's not because the idea is bad. That's usually not the case, but because the framing is wrong. When you walk into a C-suite meeting and say, we need a team retreat, what executives hear is, we want to spend money on a vacation. And that's not what you want to impart to them in any way. So here's how to reframe your proposal. Executives are always laser focused on these three things. When you get this right, you will get the outcome you're looking for. First, they're always focused on growing revenue. So whatever you're doing has to help to improve their top revenue lines first and foremost. The second is reducing risk. If they foresee that there is a risk to not doing the work, then they will be more motivated to actually move forward. And then the last one is operational efficiency. So if they're losing money, if there's a huge cost associated with the problem they cannot solve, then they're going to pay attention. So when you can get growing revenue, reducing risk, and improving operational efficiency, these three things together, when you can cover your bases in those areas, when you're pitching anything, frankly, not just retreats, your job is to show them that a retreat directly addresses all three. And here's the good news: retreats are strategic. They maintain the focus when teams are drowning in daily fires. They accelerate trust, which is a silent growth killer in most organizations that are very siloed. People do not work well together. They unlock innovative solutions to difficult problems that a conference room meeting simply cannot produce. And lastly, they turn culture into a competitive advantage, and that retains your best people. So when you can get that across to leaders, they're more likely to pay attention to what you have to say. So the most important takeaway from this is that a retreat isn't the ask. That's not the actual ask. It is the answer to the problem. So you just have to frame it that way. This retreat solves a problem. It's not a retreat just for the sake of going on a retreat. So we're going to talk about one of the most important things for you to start off with is you need to gather your evidence. Step one is all about evidence. So C-suite leaders don't respond to feelings, they respond to data. So before you ever walk into a meeting where you will make the pitch, you need to do your homework. Start with what you already have. So if you have engagement surveys, if you have engagement survey results, exit interview themes, productivity trends, normally you can get this data from your HRBP, which is your human resources business partner. Now, if you can't get access to that data for any particular reason, let's say they just cannot share it with you, the next best thing you can do is, if you don't have the data, is to run a simple anonymous survey using Google Forms or SurveyMonkey or Typeform, whatever tool that is out there. Ask your team about things like their exhaustion level, any learning gaps that they have, or their particular areas, whether it's how to manage conflict, team conflict issues, for example, or many others, along with any wicked operational problems that can't get resolved, and whether they are concerned about achieving their goals for the year. The data alone will be very powerful and grounds your rationale in the business case. Now, here's where AI becomes your secret weapon for this step. So, this can be a laborious process. So, to minimize that, my suggestion is you use whatever AI tools that are at your disposal, right? You don't need to be a data analyst to make a compelling case, but you do need to have good data and you need to be able to create a very compelling narrative. So, tools like ChatGPT, Claude can do a lot of the heavy lifting for you when you have the right prompts. So a few things you can do is you can use AI to do survey synthesis. So if you do have data that you're working with, you can, copy and paste them into any one of these AI tools, and you can ask it to identify the top 5 recurring themes and summarize the sentiments. In minutes, you'll have a clean narrative from raw data that you can use. Another thing that you can do is to take your exit interviews and run an analysis. Again, upload and paste it and ask it, what are the most common reasons employees are leaving, and what does this suggest about team culture? You'll get a structured summary you can drop right into your pitch, right into your deck. And then lastly, benchmarking. Now, I want you to think about how do you work with these tools to get the right data. So whether it's, again, AI, ChatGPT, Perplexity, or Claude, whichever one you want to use, ask it to pull the latest Gallup, SHRM, or McKinsey data on, for example, disengagement costs, burnout rates, and turnover statistics. Then ask it to format that data as talking points for a C-suite audience. The goal is to walk in with 3 to 5 data points that are specific to your organization. Back that by industry benchmarks. That combination is what makes executives sit up and pay attention. The next step is one of the most important, and oftentimes this is where people can get caught up, is we do not like to hear no, right? So but I want you to know that's going to be part of this journey. So you have to be okay with anticipating objections by preparing the responses in advance and having that in your back pocket. Now that you have your evidence, let's talk about what's going to happen when you walk into the room. There's going to be pushback, and there's nothing you can do about that. Except I want you to be ready for it, because the leaders who get a yes are the ones who anticipate the no before it is even said. So the 3 most common objections you'll hear are it's too expensive, we don't have time. And my personal favorite, retreats are fluffy. They're just glorified vacation. So let's dismantle each one so that you're prepared for your response. The first one is too expensive. Now, there is solid data out there that losing one senior employee cost the company 1.5 to 2 times their annual salary. So if we do the math, if an executive costs $250,000, that's their salary, not even including the recruitment cost that's associated with bringing them in. If you multiply that by 2 times, that's almost $500,000 if that executive leaves the organization, or a leader leaves the organization because of a particular issue. So given that it costs up to 2 times their annual salary in recruitment, onboarding, and lost productivity, one departure can cost more than the entire retreat budget. So frame it that way. No time. A focused 2-day retreat can save hundreds of hours in future miscommunication, reworking things, turnover-related disruption. So basically, you're not taking time away. 2 days is, in the grand scheme of things, is nothing compared to the hours that are lost. So basically, you're buying back time for the organization. And lastly, too fluffy? Well, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, most of the companies in Silicon Valley all use structured offsites for strategic planning and team alignment. So this is not about it being a nice vacation or a spa day. It's a business accelerator. Very often, if you need to fix a problem or you need to move forward or something, 1 or 2 days, bring everybody together when it's done in a structured, impactful way will actually pay off in dividends. So here's an AI tip for you that you can use. You can use ChatGPT or any one of these tools to role play the objection conversation before your pitch. So you can you can put in a prompt to Claude, and you can ask it to act as a skeptical CFO to take that persona and push back on my proposal for a $120,000 team retreat. So, and then you tell them that you're going to practice, I'm going to practice my response. So you can do the back and forth with the AI tool. And this is just one of the best ways you can stress test your pitch even beforehand to build your confidence before the real meeting. Step three is let's think about how do you connect the business impact to ROI. This is the money slide here. So this is the most important slide here. This is where you translate the human cost of burnout, disengagement, or whatever it is that your rationale is for your retreat into language that executives speak fluently, which basically is dollars. Burned out employees are 63% more likely to take sick days. Replacing a departing employee cost can be an average of 4,700 just in recruitment. Before you factor in lost institutional knowledge, onboarding time, and the productivity dip that follows, and let's not even talk about turnover. So SHRM, the Society of Human Resource Management, tells us it costs 1.5 times, again, the employee's annual salary, which we discussed earlier. So for a team of 6 people at $125,000 each, that's $750,000 walking out the door. So when you start to show leaders the cost of not taking the time to do an offsite, they start to pay attention a lot more. Now compare that to a $120,000 retreat investment. That's a 6-to-1 return. That's not a perk. This is basically a business decision that's grounded in solid data of the cost benefit analysis of doing or not doing a retreat. Another tip is you can definitely go into AI and say, hey, put in a prompt, help me build a simple ROI calculator for a team retreat. My team has X amount of people. The average salary is this amount, and our current attrition rate is X percentage. Again, you can use SHRM's 1.5 turnover cost formula to help you to basically create a good rationale and the ROI calculator of the benefit versus the cost of not doing it. So this will generate a very clear cost-saving breakdown. You can paste directly to your one page or your slide or whatever it is that you're doing. And you can also find ways to ask your tool to create an executive summary of why this retreat investment makes financial sense using data that you've provided that becomes part of your pitch opener. The goal is to make the financial case so clear that saying no feels like a riskier option. Lastly, position the retreat as a strategic solution. Now we're shifting from the problem to the solution. And this is where you get to be the architect of something transformational. When you present the retreat, don't lead with the agenda. This is a mistake people often make. They want to dig right into, okay, these are the things that we're going to do. This is why it's going to be great. And they don't care about that. What you need to do is to lead with the outcome. Start with, here's what we will achieve: a 50% lower quit rate, a 30% productivity increase, a 45% boost in innovation, for example. Again, these are not my numbers. These are numbers that were pulled from very verifiable sources like McKinsey, Harvard Business Review, Forrester. So when you can pull out some of that data, you can better ground your business case in all of available information that is out there. Then, and only after you've done that, you walk them through what the retreat will include. So that comes second or third, not first. So then you can talk about leadership development sessions like that are very importantly tied to strategic priorities. So you need to go and pull that strategic plan if you have access to it. If you don't, and you just need to ask someone else, what are our core strategic priorities, which you should know, you can basically align whether it's the learning sessions, whatever activities that you want to do back to strategic priorities. Culture alignment workshops, design sprints, stress management, and team building experiences, they need to be purposeful, right? They need to connect back to something that is a priority for the organization. The key message here is this: every element of the retreat should map back to a business objective. If you can't explain why an activity is on the agenda, then you need to cut it out. There's no point, there's no reason for it. It doesn't need to be there. Your leaders will respect the discipline and it will make your pitch much more solid and much more airtight. All right, so we're wrapping things up. So to finalize the proposal and the next steps when you are pitching your retreat, And you really need to think about making sure that it is super easy for them to say yes. So already have a plan in place. Think about, okay, I need to think about who else do I want to help me whether it's co-sponsor, or be a co-lead with me. So it's not just you. Identify and propose another person who will co-lead the effort alongside you. Definitely reach out to them beforehand. Do not do that at your pitch meeting. Propose 1 to 2 dates at least 3 to 6 months ahead of time so that it is on calendars to minimize conflicts with other already scheduled business and personal vacations. You can imagine for me as a retreat planner and a facilitator how often a prospective client will come 6 weeks or a month before a retreat, and usually it's a mad rush, it's a mad dash, and they don't get the benefit or the best outcome because everything is done so last minute. So you really want to think about how do you start planning ahead of time and give people enough time so it does not conflict with other activities that they are doing and other plans that they have. Lastly, and I would say most importantly, interview a retreat planner or facilitator that does more than logistics and coordination. Oftentimes, you can get that support in your organization, probably with a more junior team level member. So make sure that you are ensuring that your retreat is solid. It's something that has very strong design and development, learning goals. All of that is integrated into the retreat so that, yes, it's fun, but it's also something that's connected back to a real business challenge, a real business situation, and there's a learning component as well to it. So this is something that we do at Simetras, team experiences. So to learn more, reach out to us at info@simetras.co or use the link below to book a strategy call to discuss next steps. I'm happy to provide more guidance on this because when you can imagine the outcomes you can achieve bringing your team together at an offsite, I would like to invite you to continue this conversation to get the support you need to make this happen. When you book a complimentary 30-minute discovery call with me during the next 2 weeks, what I will do is I will work with you to help you uncover the metrics we talked about earlier because you need to have the specific metrics that are important to your team. So this is not something that is generic. So I will help you understand what resonates with your specific leadership team. Is it ROI? Is it engagement scores? Is it retention impact? You need to understand what specifically is an issue at your organization that will make leaders move and make this investment. I'll help you craft a tailored pitch, show you how your retreat connects directly to business goals, not just a team building event. And then lastly, it's really important to make sure that you anticipate objections, which we've already discussed. So you'll have an opportunity to be prepared to handle those pushbacks and reframe concerns as strategic advantages. So really, this is an opportunity to lock in this moment. If this is something that you want to do. The last thing I would like to offer is the first person to book a call with me will receive an additional 30-minute hype coaching session before you pitch your retreat. So this is really an opportunity to think about, okay, I'm going to present to my leadership team in a week or 2 weeks. I want to make sure I'm prepared, or maybe in 2 or 3 days. How do I ensure that I'm going in prepared and effective? So if you manage people, if you manage a team and you would love to learn more about this, I'm happy to provide that information. Again, you can reach us at info@simetras.co, and my website is simetras.co. So again, thank you for listening to this webinar and for participating, and I look forward to hearing from you. Take care. All right, let me turn off the recording.